Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi, and welcome to the Geek Fruit Show. I'm not calling it a podcast anymore. Jishnu, hi.
Hodor.
Okay, cool. We will talk about that. But yeah, so you're listening to Geek Fruit. It's a show about a bunch of nerdy things, and our nerdy stuff knows no real limit. We talk about television, and sometimes we talk about Radiohead. I don't know why that happened once. We did that also.
It was appropriate.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was very appropriate.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
Well,
it was because of Spectre.
It was because of
Spectre?
it was not because of Spectre. It just
I don't know why it was.
a moon-shaped pool just came out, and we were just like, "Oh, did you hear it?" I was like, "Yeah, it's so good," and then we just ended up talking about it for a bit, which is fine. We should have talked about it when Spectre came out, which is actually way more appropriate now that you mention it.
Speaking of that exact song,
yeah, I love that
Spectre,
song.
Have you seen the Star Wars fan video for it?
Yes, of course, yeah. So actually, that's a good thing to plug here.
That was really cool.
Yeah, so there have been a bunch of really, really good fan-made stuff for Star Wars. Yeah. I guess because, lots of graphic designers and stuff like that always really appreciate the art of Star Wars, and they're always doing really, really nifty stuff with it. So somebody did this on Vimeo, right? It was on Vimeo?
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a video that is very easily Googleable, I'm sure, because it's got tons of views. It's just somebody took the Radiohead song that they wrote for Spectre that never got selected and
called Spectre.
Yeah, and it got obviously beaten out by Sam Smith's what's it called? Writing on the Wall.
Writing on the Wall. See?
So they took,
not memorable.
So they took they took the Radiohead song and then put it to a graphic animation of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a mixed media kind of thing. It's got some graphics
so
stuff.
Basically they just took the visual style of the Bond opening sequences and made it Star Wars, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Although a friend of mine pointed out something that actually made me chuckle. It was very impressive, very cool, and they had the style down perfectly to fit James Bond, and it looked really awesome.
Yeah, it was a perfect mashup.
Instead of seeing, James Bond like falling as he always does in these things, and like a bunch of naked women, you saw Darth Vader's helmet and stuff like that.
No, we saw Luke falling, right? If I'm not mistaken, or something.
Oh, was it Luke falling?
Yeah, him falling. It was a sequence for The Empire Strikes Back.
Right. So
it's the end of the
funny thing about it is that the whole visual appeal had, it's all about lighting and like movement and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's really cool seeing all these Star Wars references in it. And of course, the lightsaber features in it.
Yeah.
And there's a green one.
Yeah.
And there should not be. Because it's Empire Strikes Back.
That's true. I agree.
So I was like, hey.
No, I mean, that way you shouldn't be giving away the ending of Empire Strikes Back right in the title sequence. But the things I really liked is they did the trench run in this really cool 3D
cool.
kind of like almost Tron-like way where they just have these vector graphics. It was really, really neat and really well done.
On that note as well, I just remembered one that
the lyrics
I
also
absolutely
fit.
loved.
Sorry, lyrics fit.
They do?
Yeah, of course.
I forget the song.
It's a really good song. I really enjoy it.
I remember liking it more than Writing on the Wall, but I also remember that I don't remember them too well, either of them. You know what I mean?
It's very difficult to remember Radiohead.
Yeah. This is very true. Yeah. But speaking of that, actually, so another exact same kind of thing, fan-made video in the same James Bond style that somebody made was for Black Widow.
I do remember seeing something about it.
It's a 2.5-minute thing, some random song that I never heard, but a very appropriate James Bond sounding kind of thing, spy thrillery kind of music. And somebody made a Black Widow version of this, and they made the exact same titles as it would be, with the same font as like the Black Widow stuff, and the Black Widow, two triangles kind of logo thing is like featured
the Black Widow logo.
Yeah, it looks like two triangles.
Yeah, it's two inverted triangles.
So look that up as well. I can't recommend that.
Oh, awesome! Because I love
beautiful.
Black Widow, man. Dude, that movie has to come out. I hope they will announce it in the movie as the replacement for Inhumans.
Yeah. I would accept it
with a sigh.
I would accept it if I have to give up on Inhumans. Then at least Black Widow should make it. But I feel like
Agents of Shield, man. Why do you need an Inhumans movie?
I want both because Agents of Shield doesn't have Black Bolt and
the whole show is an Inhumans show.
Yeah, but it's not those Inhumans. Anyway,
fair enough.
That's a whole other episode and a half.
Okay.
But while we're already on the topic of TV shows that might come on i.e. the Black Widow thing, which I would imagine could make for a great Netflix show.
What, Black Widow?
Yeah, that would be a great Netflix show.
I agree.
Speaking of,
Yes.
so as of I think like just a few hours ago, I think it was very recent as of this morning for us.
Yeah.
I saw news that Netflix is not, I was going to say buying over, but they're not buying over. They're tying up with Disney for all major movie releases post September 2016.
What does that mean?
Rogue One and everything else coming out in Disney, Pixar, and Marvel will feature exclusively on Netflix.
Are you saying at the time of release? Is it like
No.
what Spielberg is doing?
Not that. No, I don't think that's the case.
Because
I feel like that would have been made very clear, and that's not the case.
Yeah, why would
That
they?
is not
Why
the
would they
case.
do that?
But
I think.
once the movies are out for
So
on-demand
they will be
viewing, it will be available on Netflix. Which is
So the topic of our
cool.
episode today is this whole on-demand model and TV and things like that. And actually, that's one of my problems right now we have in India is just that we don't have most I'd say of the programming which is there in say Netflix, US, Canada, UK, etc. Because Netflix India, I guess, because it's just started. So we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to take a short break and then we will be back talking about Voot, Hotstar, Netflix, and other places to get your fix of television programming.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania, co-founder of the blog Stylogram, where we cover trends, fashion forecasts, celebrity style, tips and tricks, and lots more cool stuff. So tune in every Thursday to the Stylogram podcast, your weekly style telegram, giving you the latest fashion and beauty stories that are relevant to you. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app. See you soon.
hello again.
Welcome back to the Geek Fruit Show. I can't call it the Geek Fruit Show. We'll just call it Geek Fruit then.
Just call it what you want. Just
So
don't call me often.
So why we're not calling it podcast anymore is for multiple reasons. The very intelligent and awesome head honcho here at IVM, the network that gives you this beautiful show, Geek Fruit.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah, no, he's such an inspiration. Okay, this guy, Amit Doshi is the guy we're talking about. And just very recently, I was telling you, Jishnu, about this. It was very meta because I heard him on another podcast called the Entrepreneur Podcast, which I don't know if we're allowed to talk about over here because it's fine, right? Yeah. So we heard his interview on the Entrepreneur Podcast, and we were just talking about how podcasting has come to India for the first time, and he's kind of leading the way in that sense. And it was really, really, really insightful kind of look at just like what his thought processes were in bringing this kind of model to India. And he was just like, the most, he's like, what is the question you get asked most about your business? And he's just like, people saying, what's a podcast? And he's like, because of that, he's like, it's so difficult to explain what podcasting is because it's associated with iPods. And that is how it began, essentially. And the term has still stuck around the world and things like that. But he really wants to kind of change it to on-demand internet radio or on-demand audio is really what he wants to kind of change it to. Because it really is that. Because, there's so many niches and you can service each one by giving them because of the on-demand model, you can just like go and, make a show about something really, really specific and still have such a huge crowd about it. Just like how we do it, Jishnu.
So is this the Geek Fruit Adda? ODA. Odda.
Oh my God.
Oda.
You should have said Oda generally, even if it was spelled with an A because you're Bengali. Ha! Wow. That was really, really...
I see what you did.
That was good. Yeah. So, yeah. So...
Okay.
We should not call it that. We should just call it Geek Fruit. And also because our show is tied to a much bigger thing, which is our website, geekfruit.in. So I just think it's all encompassing. And on-demand is really, really the way that the world is moving towards, because, people keep saying television is dead and, things like that. I don't know if it's dead as much as it's converting itself into smart television or on-demand television. You can still watch things like Netflix on television right now. So television is not dead because the device is pretty cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're going to be talking about a few things. Let's actually start with television in the West. And we just heard some really, really heartbreaking kind of news about a lot of really nice shows being cancelled.
The death of many of our favorites.
Yeah, man, cancellation is such a scene over there, right? Like it's not as important here because here shows kind of go on forever, right? Like if the season format is still not taken up here, kind of. Like it's mostly soap operas that dominate television in India.
You're talking about like Saas Bahu kind of stuff.
K-serials, anything on Balaji Telefilms, which is, by the way, getting its own on-demand model. Also, we'll talk about that. But I just feel like the structure for seasons and stuff is very, very nascent here right now in India. But in the States, the difference between cable and subscription models is so different, and they operate on this season basis, and that's so. It's really a good way of telling how it's a good way of rating a show. It's a good way of seeing how well a show has been doing, from arc to arc. It's a good way of storytelling. So yeah, man. And having said that, I don't know what they found so bad about Agent Carter, but it's not there anymore. She's gone. They've cancelled it.
But I suppose we can always cling on to the hope, and I think it's not too far of a stretch to hope that we'll see more of her just in different incarnations. Because I feel like I haven't finished season 2.
Yeah, neither have I.
Ashamedly, I sort of paused on it after like 3 or 4 episodes because there was just so much other stuff to see.
Okay.
It was
so
I
well.
definitely intend on finishing. Yeah, of course, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I just, I had other things that needed watching. But I have a feeling that even though they've ended it, we will get to see her again in some other movie or in some other TV show at some point in time. Because basically, I feel like at any point, if the MCU goes back to any time in the era between the 50s and present day, which very well could happen for anybody's story, then she would have to feature heavily because she was a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so
she was part of SSR.
You can't get around it. I mean, there's every chance that she could come back literally at any point in time on any episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for one example.
At any point of time until, I guess, Civil War, because then after that, spoilers, she did. Yeah, that was.
Although,
really
is somebody coming? Is there anybody on the horizon that could do like some sort of necromancing?
I don't know if they would ever do that to that character because I mean, you're saying that she's gonna feature anyway. So here are 2 points actually where I think she's gonna come back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And one of it is obviously in the proposed Black Widow film that I have been pitching for like maybe a year now. But like really, I think I've spoken to you about this at length, even in our Avengers episode, which we did. We spoke about how this Black Widow, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye movie needs to happen. Like a prequel movie should happen. Or at least a movie that kind of goes back to that time. I think with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s presence just generally then, because Hawkeye is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., he should definitely be in, she should definitely be in that movie. At some, level, she has to kind of feature there. This might even, what else we could actually see? This is another interesting thing. Robert Redford's character, who's there? He was the leader of the World Security Council in Winter Soldier.
That's
he was
right.
the primary kind of Hydra villain, and he's the one who promotes Nick Fury to the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So
yes.
that would be a really interesting movie because we're quite familiar with these characters who are from different mediums but come together in a really, really good movie.
Yeah.
And you could cast like a person who plays, I can't remember his name, but Alex something, I want to say his name was, can't remember, Robert Redford's character.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we could see an iteration of her in that. The other movie which I think she could feature in is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like we got like a little prequel segment.
You mean with her and Hank Pym?
Yeah, Hank Pym. Also because I think we haven't cast, what do you call it?
My chair just farted.
Yeah, chair just farted.
Let's just get that straight, everybody.
Good. Let's just move quickly forward
brush
from there.
past that. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, in Ant-Man, we saw that little prequel with Howard Stark and everything like that. And the thing is that Hank Pym is still really, really upset about the fact that his wife went subatomic and disappeared into the subatomic, kind of realm. And because the Wasp is kind of in that space, and we might be able to see a little flashback into that, we might see Haley Atwell's character make a reprise again.
Yep.
So those are the 2 places I think we could see her. I don't know about anywhere else.
So to get to the point, we're very
Optimistic.
very upset and sad that it happened. But yeah, we are still optimistic that this is not the end of her character, just the end of that show. Yeah. Which sucks. But
the other interesting thing is that another show that we kind of watch a little bit of, which is Supergirl, which is on ABC, another It's on ABC, is it? No, it's on CBS.
CBS.
Yeah, ABC is
Yeah.
Disney, yeah, so she would never be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, on CBS, and she has
How
now
much of it
been,
have you seen? Because I haven't
I've seen
seen
5-6 episodes.
I saw the first 5 minutes of the first episode, and then something distracted me, and then I haven't gone back since.
Wow.
Because once again, too much stuff to see.
So
especially in that that universe. Well, not technically, because I'm talking about the CW universe, which she has crossovered with.
Now, so she's in the...
So that's where she's headed.
So she has now been transported into the CW universe, which on the channel, and the reason for that was the costs were really, really high for her to shoot for as a CBS show. So now they're moving her also to Vancouver to shoot. And now this is interesting. What I felt, I don't know if you saw the Supergirl and Flash crossover episode. Did you watch that?
I have not seen that.
Okay, so the premise was very, very simple. It was just that, he had the tachyon enhancer thing.
Yep.
So he kind of just goes into her universe. She's in a different Earth. She's not even on the same like Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow kind of universe. So she's on like an Earth 3 or 4 or whatever it is, and I thought that was done because she is on another network, and so to explain that. But now the fact that she's on CW, are they going to retcon that? Are they heading towards an infinite crisis with Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Arrow, Flash all now being announced as being in a crossover episode? So I thought that's a way of maybe retconning that little bit of thing and bringing her onto our Earth.
So it's funny with this crossover that you're talking about. So we are looking forward to. I think I'm looking forward to it with clenched teeth the whole way through, because I'm a little nervous more than excited about
because the crossovers
idea.
have never been good.
Yeah, because they're now doing a crossover with all these shows.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one entire week where every day you have to watch a different show to continue that storyline.
Oh, is that the case?
Deal. So it's going to start.
It's like Flash and Arrow. How
right. So whoever's shows on Monday, you then got to see whoever's shows on Tuesday. It's like I don't know the order, but
that's interesting though.
It's interesting, but it's cumbersome as hell. Now, so the thing I'm thinking about though is that again lately, there's been a lot of talk about one Chloe Bennett who stars on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Who was at one of the WonderCons or something.
I did read about this.
Basically openly dissed Marvel and said they say that everything is connected, but clearly you can see that between the cinematic universe and the TV universe and the Netflix universe, they're not actually doing much about it. Because S.H.I.E.L.D., so I saw that the minute that Civil War was out, the very next episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. was about the stuff that happened in Civil War, but not much other than mentions of it.
Yeah.
And likewise with the Daredevil and Jessica Jones stuff, they mention, the Avengers are a thing. You see a picture on a wall, but it doesn't actively connect. So
for multiple reasons, though.
For multiple reasons, and the biggest one that when the Russos were asked about it, they said, obviously we'd love to have that. We'd love to see Daredevil in Infinity War. We'd love to see everything that the fans want to see, because they are fans as well. I mean, everybody's a fan.
Logistically,
TV gets made so much quicker with the turnaround time, so it's hard to keep track of everything and pacing.
But they still finished shooting all of it. It's Netflix style model, right? So all the episodes come out together. They have to shoot all of it together.
Yeah.
And once they're done, what's her name? Sophie Turner finished shooting for Game of Thrones, and then she shot for X-Men Apocalypse. So I don't think it's impossible for them to do that. And in fact, in the contracts that, Charlie Cox actually is the most likely candidate for him to feature in a movie, from the Netflix universe at least. It's very clearly stated in his contract that if he's required to, he has to show up in the movie. So if they've put in all these, caveats and stuff into their contract, why aren't they using them? And I guess...
Because it's a logistical nightmare. So, I mean, we all want it, but I can empathize with the fact that it's going to be very hard to do. But that being said,
impossible.
I feel like now that
if you can shoot for Game of Thrones and X-Men, you can shoot for Netflix.
I don't think it's a matter of do you have time to physically be in? I think it's the matter of writing a cohesive and coherent storyline where that when I write episode 17 of this show, I know that it's going to be a week after the movie releases 2 years down the line. So I need to make sure that by episode 17, this character makes sense to now be in New York fighting alongside the Avengers. I'm just thinking it's a blueprint problem, not so much a physical
I think
time problem.
There's still a way around it. So the way that, again, this is not going to be actually this might be a thing, but a good example of it is what Disney XD is doing with Rebels. Okay, so Star Wars Rebels, what happened was they finished the season, and I know this is a different thing because that one's an animated show, but it's the same topic, especially now since we're coming up along Rogue One, which is set along the same timeline. They are going to finish season 3, or they're going to take a mid-season break before Rogue One comes out, and I'm sure the events of that either it's going to reflect back on the show or it's going to connect forward into Rogue One.
Sure.
So I'm really interested in knowing that if they can, especially since Daredevil comes out on one day in a year and is done, the events of after that have to be reflected because they're still saying that it's part of a universe. So it's not impossible for them to kind of go back and say, hey, you know what? These are the things that happen, especially because now season 2 is done and Infinity War. Okay, so say now Infinity War is going to come out in 2019, right? So the first part at least. So, or 2018 if I'm not mistaken.
I think 18, 19 or 19, 20.
Whatever it is, either Defenders is going to be done by then or like something is going to be done for there to be a big gap and saying what's next. I'm saying if they've been able to balance so many characters in Civil War and Infinity War, the very name speaks of having multiple characters and arcs and stories and things like that. You know, I don't think it's impossible for them to just even have like how Wolverine kind of featured in X-Men Apocalypse, or, you know, how Spider-Man was there. Just like be there for the moment that you're required and then, you know, go out. Especially because all fans of Marvel are kind of like going... It's almost like you should do it for the fans because people have not only been following your movies, they're also like following the shows and kind of keeping up with this entire universe that you're saying is connected. But so how better than to like give them like a treat, so to speak, but then just have Charlie Cox's character just feature in that long shot, which Jishnu, you've been speaking about in Infinity War, when they're all up against Thanos. You want to see that one shot of them either fighting the Chitauri or whatever it is. Well, the Chitauri are dead pretty much after the
Kree.
Maybe the Kree, they'll be fighting. But like, you know, why can't we see that? This is my question, and only time will tell.
Yeah. So I feel like it actually very well can happen now because there is a precedent for it. I feel like
I think people are asking for it.
Over the last 8 years, they didn't know what they were getting into. They didn't know the stakes of the universe they were building. So
they
this
didn't
is
know
new
it was going to
territory.
reach this.
So now that they know there's so much demand for it, that their actors themselves are actually like calling them out on their own BS publicly.
That's true, right?
The fact that there's sort of internal mutiny going on in some respect, I feel like they will make every effort to do so.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of we'll have to wait for it because now they need to like map these things out, knowing in advance that, by the way, this show's going to have a 3-season run. In the middle of season 2 is when this completely unrelated movie is going to come out. So I need to make sure that this person hasn't lost a limb because I need him to fight Thanos.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Like,
it's a maze, man.
It takes time, and I think we'll appreciate them taking their time with this.
I agree.
Because this is a completely whole new territory for like cinema and television in general.
Yeah, it's true.
These guys are breaking new ground every day with every movie that they put out. They're trying something new, and it gambles. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when it works, like it did, I think for Civil War completely.
Yeah, definitely did.
The payoff is huge. So I am all behind waiting.
Yeah, I agree.
They cancelled Inhumans for now. That's fine. When it happens, it'll be great. So let's think happy thoughts.
The other side of it is obviously the DC equation. So now, I mean, everybody wants Grant Gustin to kind of be the Flash in the
exact same thing. Sorry. Did you see Tom Cavanaugh's?
Yeah, I heard that. Did you hear the podcast?
No, I just saw the quotes on that.
So he so passionately spoke.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just saying it because he just really loves Grant Gustin, or he's understanding the nightmare that this could plausibly be. You know, to have an actor from television like transport himself. I mean,
so just tell our listeners who.
So Tom Cavanagh is playing what is arguably the most interesting character on The Flash, which is in the first season he's Harrison Wells. In the second season he's Harrison Wells, but like
with a difference.
He's Harrison Wells part
version
2.
2.0, yeah.
Earth 2 Harrison Wells, which is, and he's just a great actor and he's a great familiar face on television generally. And he has been talking about how this whole television to movie kind of transmogrification or whatever it is, teleportation. He wants Grant Gustin to be, and the Flash in the movie series, and since the Flash in the movies and the DC universe is so unstable, he's kind of really pushing for it right now because the Flash has lost its director. It's got Ezra Miller in a very weird kind of role because you know Batman and Superman was not very well received. So he was just saying that, you know, Grant Gustin is an actor. If you're talking about tone, he is an actor. His job is to shift his, you know, the way he is. And just the way that, you know, I feel like television is going towards this infinite crisis. Like, this is the only way they could possibly do it. And while, again, I don't see it happening, I think it just makes for a very good, in the same sense that, you know, how Netflix and you know, ABC are trying to kind of get their stories onto the big screen, this would be the only way for them to do it. And they're just, I feel like DC is kind of losing out. But having said that, I don't know if you heard about this. DC finally sucked it up and said, yeah, we messed up BVS. In many ways, they said it by not saying it, by saying that we have hired now Jeff Johns to kind of run the DC movie universe. Which I was just like, you guys,
they finally realized
you dropped the ball so heavily. And Snyder's just like, what are we doing? I mean, he's also, by doing two moves pretty much, by getting Ben Affleck to be the executive producer on Justice League, and now getting Jeff Johns and John something, I can't remember his name, but basically, so Jeff Johns has been handling the TV universe, and the movie universe is being handled by I think he's one of the story guys. He's basically so it's basically one guy from the movie execs and one guy from the TV, and they're just coming together to kind of handle now, basically be Kevin Feige of the. And Jeff Johns is great. He's written some of the best Green Lantern. He's just written some of the best DC stuff, and he's been doing well with TV. With Andrew Kreisberg and all these guys, and Greg Berlanti. So, it would be really interesting to see.
It's exciting because now we know that it's being helmed by a different captain, and so far that boat has been
shaky
sinking
at best.
Yeah,
so
moving
interesting. Yeah. So
cool.
Okay. So that's what we have on television. I mean, we're gonna do a much more content-based look at the shows.
I feel like we'll probably do an episode on each of these shows individually because they're wrapping up actually as we speak.
Yeah, Flash is over by the time you hear this episode.
Yeah, Flash will be done. Gotham will be done.
Yeah.
Supergirl should be pretty close to done. Is it already done?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. It is done. If not, it will be by the time this episode
I know that
comes
we're both 2 seasons behind on Arrow, 3 seasons behind on Arrow. How far behind are you?
Maybe it's on season 4 right now.
Okay,
and
so
I've done one season.
Middle of season 2.
I've done one season of S.H.I.E.L.D., one season of Arrow, one season of Gotham. I need to catch up on a lot. Yeah. But yeah, Flash, I'm pretty up to date, and it's almost done.
So I'm sure we'll do reviews on those shows very, very soon enough.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break, and we're going to cross the pond, and then one more, and then come back to India and talk about what is the state of indigenous content in India. And
wait, what is the second pond?
Well,
there's the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And then
it's like a smaller bunch of ponds, right? Like the Indian Ocean, the Arabian Sea.
So a pond and a couple of puddles.
Yeah,
cool.
Well, yes.
We'll talk about what's on the other side of the pond and a couple of puddles when we're back.
When we're back.
Did you know that some termites in Africa have a pleasantly minty flavor?
Did you know that India's largest music festival was in a way conceptualized in Estonia?
Did you know that the awesomest chips in the world are found only inside US prisons?
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Sriket.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are
Simplified,
a podcast that helps you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Or give you some stuff to talk about at parties.
We are ultra-crepidarians.
And if you don't know what that means,
then tune into Simplified with a B on iTunes, Audio Boom, or your favorite podcasting app. Episodes out every fortnight.
Hodor.
Hey, we're back with the Geek. Well, we're back with Geek Fruit with Jishnu and Tejas. I'm Tejas, and you're Jishnu.
Hodor.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, we won't get into Game of Thrones just yet.
Hodor.
Yeah, just Hodor.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Moving
there
on.
may be more to that, by the way, that we know. So let's move on. Okay, so we've talked about
my
television.
chair just farted again. What is this?
No, it didn't. I didn't hear it. So why do you want to talk about it?
Because I can feel the air beneath my bum.
Oh my god.
I said bum.
I think every show. This we have talked about everything now. All right, cool. So we're talking about. This year has been a kind of a not stranger, but like a more in terms of like Indian television advancing finally past just what happens on small screens and going into the on-demand model.
Technically on even smaller screens.
Yeah. So in India they have another term for it. So like how they have OOH, which is out of home media. So this is called over the top media.
Really?
Yeah. Every like Business Standard or any like article that I read about Voot or when I was doing my research has called it OTT, which is over the top. Which I don't know if how does that
You sure it's not OTP? The text message you get
one-time password
to confirm anything and everything.
You mean Zomato, HDFC, and Uber? That's pretty much all that I use it for.
And any home delivery. Yeah.
So over-the-top media or on the on-demand model, which is what we're going to be talking about. We decided. So Jishnu and I said, you know what? We've been seeing a lot of banners out in OOH, which is out of home stuff, about Voot, which we've been hearing about but not had seen any, they had announced that we're going to be doing a digital.
And I'll be honest, the first time I saw an ad for Voot, I thought it was an ad for Veep.
Why? Because they have the same number.
It just sounds similar.
Voot and Veep, they don't even rhyme. They just have the same first letter. That's it.
And the same number of letters. And that is about it.
Yeah.
But it's enough.
Yeah. Veep is HBO, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Veep is HBO.
I've never seen it.
All right, cool.
I should. There's a lot I should see. I should stop saying I need to see things because
this
list will never end.
It's not untrue. You do need to watch a lot.
This list will never end.
So we're gonna break down 3 of the most, I'd say, the ones the on-demand models which are closest to us, I'd say, or the youth, and in terms of entertainment,
the youngsters.
Yeah, because we're not going to watch alt live. I think that's the name of Balaji Telefilm's on-demand model, where they're going to stream K soaps for everybody. Just imagine the aunties going like, "Oh my god, I'm just downloading this app to watch it." So it's like you don't watch it when it's on television.
Alt live.
Alt something. I can't remember what, but I'm going to go with live here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with it. But I think it's called alt. It definitely has the word alt.
Is there anything alt about it?
It's alternative.
Is it edgy Saas Bahu kind of shows?
I hope so. I hope that this is
there gratuitous vience and sex in the middle of mother-in-law drama?
So this is what I think they all evolved to. I think whatever MTV's been doing, or Viacom has been doing, is in that very massy space, but for youth. So we've had soaps on MTV, which has dropped the music from the word M a very, very long time ago. The only thing that they really did have any connection to was with Coke Studio. And maybe Unplugged, which obviously Coke Studio could not find itself on its other channel, which is Pepsi MTV Indies. So yeah, for obvious reasons. So they kind of segregated another channel for their music stuff, and the music in MTV is gone, which is really interesting because MTV, while I was still working with MTV and doing a lot of shows and stuff, they decided to go with a universal kind of branding. So now MTVs across the globe are all branded exactly the same, and they're going with this international kind of look for it. And very recently, I just read, and this was just after the death of Prince, that the MTV president or something said, "You know what? He's just we've been screwing this up." Essentially, is what he said. He's like, "We're going to bring back music to MTV." So I don't know how that's going to reflect to.
Yeah, what are they going to do about that?
Sure, okay, but
because that could go horribly wrong in many ways.
Yeah, but one of the directions that Viacom and Network 18, which has come together to form Viacom 18, has decided to go into is in this on-demand model, which is Voot, and they have basically taken all their content from their television shows, from Colors, from, I think they have another channel, I can't remember, Sonic, I want to say it's Sonic. They also have, I think they have Nickelodeon, and I think they have Pepsi MTV Indies, they have MTV, and they have Colors something, Imagine or something. I don't know. So they have a bunch of things. And is it Colors? I'm not sure. So anyway, they've taken their content and now they've put it on this app called Voot. And so Voot is now their big thing.
And it's primarily all Hindi, isn't it?
So it's funny, when you sign up for Voot, you can sign up through Facebook or Google, or you can make a new account. And when you do, the Facebook one doesn't work. It doesn't, it's not working. Sorry, Voot. And basically when you sign up, you can sign up for regional languages, and you can check off which ones you want, but the only 2 you can't check off, and it says required, is Hindi and English. So you have to kind of go through them, because I guess primarily most of their content is going to be in Hindi. And here's the thing, they have their originals also. So everybody's into their own original content for their web-based stuff to show that they care. Yeah. And not that they're just, taking all their content and putting it on.
And what does this original content include?
So they have 4 shows, which I did sample. Okay. Okay. So they have a show called Sinskari, which is Alok Nath. I don't know if you've heard of Alok Nath, the Sanskari individual who's been making the rounds. So it's basically a risque show of him talking about sex and things like that. And they have a very, very favorite roadies guy. Raghu Ram on it, asking him questions and things like that. So it's
Stone Cold Steve Austin of MTV.
Yeah,
I mean, he basically is.
Yeah, he does look like him, I guess.
I mean, I'm just saying he's a big bald guy, but that's...
Well, so is Vishal Dadlani.
Right.
Yeah. And
Vishal Dadlani also wears camo shorts. much like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, cool. I'll tell him that. Okay. So Sinskari is one of the shows. They have a show called Badman, which is what I'm looking forward to. I don't know why. But it's got Gulshan Grover, the stereotypical bad man villain of India, doing a kind of 70s reprise. Like he's this 80s villain, he's kind of putting it into an original show. So there's no episodes out yet, but there's a music video which features Vishal Dadlani. So there you go. So that's one of the shows they have. A third show which they do have, which is the one which I watched, is called Chinese Bhasad. So it's a very racist show, but it's a fiction show, which is why I decided to check it out. It's a show about a guy, a family who lives like towards the northeast, and basically the main character's name is Raghu Dikshit.
What?
I just found it really, really funny. Anyway, so his family has fought in the Indo-China war and everything like that, and because of that, his grandfather, like the patriarch of the family, hates Chinese people, and so this guy, the main character, is a young guy who's gone to Singapore to study, and he's come back very much in love with a Chinese girl. So he brings her back to India, and this is really racist because his name is Raghu, but she keeps calling him Laghu as a very
oh man,
yeah, as a very
wow,
almost stereotypical mind your language style. Yeah, it's like humor is from there. But the good things about this show is that it's a 22-minute show. Mm-hmm. And you know we love 22-minute shows. They're very short. It's well shot. It's decently shot as a fiction show. They've shot it on location, I believe. It looks really legitly shot. And it could have been a good fiction show. And there's a few funny moments, and there's a few good characters who are playing very, very stereotypical, like, you know,
sure,
almost like cliches of characters, but they're still funny. Like there's a couple of actors in his family who are very good, deliver jokes quite well, and so I feel like just generally, and this is my review of all the shows which have been made for this model. They have a lot of potential. I want to say that they have a lot of potential. I do have a lot of problems with the app itself. The interface of the app is very, very difficult to navigate, and when you kickstart the app itself, it only pimps out these 4 shows which they've been talking about. And as I went scrolling along saying top picks, these are the top picks, and I just found these, and I found a little bit of roadies. The 4th show that they have done is a show called Sodies, which is a spoof sitcom on roadies, starring another indie hit maker, Baba Sehgal.
What?
Yes.
Ooh, I might actually watch this.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. So they have good ideas in the sense that they're taking like these very, very popular figures and giving them... It's like, this is a very long way of... this is a far-fetched way of looking at it. But the way that, you know, Mickey Rourke, his career was revived by doing Aronofsky's The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, they brought him back as like something like... they kind of played...
Are you saying this is Baba Sehgal's The Wrestler?
No, I'm not, which is a really funny way of putting it, right? No, but I'm saying, you know, the fact that they've revived their careers by, you know, giving...
But is there Baba Sehgal flying off the top turnbuckle doing a frog splash on somebody? Please tell me this.
Let me just put it this way. Like, you know how they've played into Mickey Rourke's own life and his, you know, drug addiction and things like that, and they played it into the movie.
He's sort of playing like himself in a way.
Yeah, he's playing himself. He is playing like a... I mean, to say that he's playing a caricature
so he loves
of
chicken
himself...
fried rice.
Yeah, say that he's playing a caricature of himself is to say that he's playing a caricature of himself.
So
he's already
So he does a lot of scenes in the gym. There's a whole lot of...
But yeah, he's Baba Sehgal. He's not playing... when I say he's playing a fictional version, he's playing a fictional version of the events that he's going through, but he is just Baba Sehgal. Because I guess it would be too much for him to, go into a character method role. You know, like,
so this is
like
in the vein,
giving Baba Sehgal...
So this is in the vein of like Joey from Friends in the show Joey.
In episodes.
Or in episodes, rather.
Pretty much.
Or like...
and that's pretty much...
Stamos and Grandfather? Is he playing Stamos? Is Stamos playing Stamos? I'm not sure.
It's kind of like the Joey example that you've given.
Okay, yeah,
so because
episodes,
all these actors, like, for example, Alok Nath is still playing like the Alok Nath version of himself, but in another series. Gulshan Grover is playing a villain in yet another series. And Baba Sehgal is doing the same. So I think they've latched on to what I say is a good idea in some ways. Because, you know, what would people say? It's like, oh, I'd love to see Baba Sehgal in a series. Just the same reason why Baba Sehgal played at NH7. It's not because he's a good musician. It's for the novelty factor of itself. I would go and watch that. How long can they sustain that? Nobody knows. So that's the original programming. Now, here's why the app is bad. The app is bad because after clicking the hamburger, which is the 3 lines that you click to kind of see your navigation bar, there was movies and shows, and I clicked on that, and the shows is a proper listing of everything that they have on this app, and it's got literally everything that has been there on MTV. So they have Coke Studio, they have so many shows that I've shot and directed, which is so funny. They have MTV Sync, they have stuff that I've done on. They have Unplugged, which is a show that I worked on. They have this show called Trendsetters with Ramona, who we also know, and there's a lot of these things which are the Nano Drive, another show which I did. So basically everything in their repertoire, they've brought it onto the app. It's a much better way of viewing it than on YouTube, which is kind of difficult to kind of navigate. This is a much easier way.
So what's the subscription
so it's free
price like? The whole thing?
Yeah, Voot is free as of now, and it's interesting because they also have a movie section, and while they have a limited amount of movies on it, they still have like really, really good stuff like Gangs of Wasepur 1, Part 1, Part 2. They have Kahani, which had Vidya Balan on it. So they have a lot of good movies also still just there for free, and it's just really interesting that they're going with this model as opposed to say a Hotstar or a Netflix, which is again a nominal fee, but you're paying for a bunch of content that you won't get like anywhere else. So I just thought the Voot has a lot of potential in the sense that it also has a big kids section, and when I say big, it's not they're advertising in a big way that they have a kids section. So I think it's good for kids to just like kind of go and find out just watch animated shows and stuff like that. So that's what they have going for them. I feel the interface needs a lot of work. Their proprietary player is not very good. I've not found that very exceptional on the MTV Indies website itself. They do that a lot. Before, if anything is going exclusive on Indies, it goes on their website first, and their player is really bad. That's why I still go back to YouTube over Facebook and anything else, is because the YouTube app is just so good. It's just like, because they've spent like more than 10 years just building it and making it, perfecting it. So it's still better. Voot has a long way to go, but there's a lot of potential.
Well, on the flip side, so I looked at Hotstar a little bit, and arguably I'd say the biggest original piece of content that they have was from several months ago with the AIB show.
Yeah, they did a lot of advertising for that.
They did a big push for that. And did you see much of that? Did you see any of those shows?
I saw a couple of episodes. I saw the English stuff. So I saw the English.
So I saw the English stuff. I saw like a little bit of the Hindi stuff.
And
it was basically
political comedy kind of.
Yeah, very much in that Jon Stewart, John Oliver kind of space. Yeah. And just a little quick thing about that show specifically. I thought it was actually pretty good. It was not bad at all, I thought. It got better over time, and I think it was mainly because the one thing about that specific show was that I just felt like it really needs a good audience. It needs a good live audience to give those guys the energy.
Because there was no canned laughter in this.
No,
right?
Yeah, it was a very much a live studio audience, which is great to see that there were people, hundreds of people willing to go for every episode and sit there and watch the whole thing, and that was great. So I was really happy that they got to do that. But it definitely took a while before the crowd understood how they also need to really be committed to that, to let that energy in the room sort of make the jokes that much funnier. Because the first couple episodes I thought kind of fell a little more flat than the last ones. But anyway,
was it funny though?
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. Like I said, especially towards the end.
So who are the guys doing the English one? It's
that's Rohan and Ashish Shakya.
Yeah, that's right.
Rohan Joshi and Ashish Shakya.
Okay, cool. And
Tanmay and Khamba do the other one.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So that is the biggest one that they pushed at the time.
Yeah, I saw
on
only
Hotstar.
about 8 shows.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, as of just this past weekend when I looked at it, the biggest thing that they're pushing, which is I think of no surprise to anybody, is the fact that they have Game of Thrones.
As in not from their original lineup.
Yeah. So basically, you have to look for their original stuff if you want to find it, because at the moment they are really pushing Game of Thrones hard.
Yeah,
for all the right reasons.
Right reasons, yeah.
Right? And the big sort of tagline is the fact that you can see it at the minutes. Quote, to quote
they've been doing that on Facebook.
Minutes after Out West.
I think why even say minutes, right? Just say it's coming out at the same time, and who will know? Really.
So the funny thing is that the comment section and the user feedback on that site is obviously all about Game of Thrones, because now I would imagine that now they've got probably twice as many numbers as before because of the fact that they have Game of Thrones on there. And the biggest thing on the comment section is people arguing about the fact that it says available at 7:30 a.m. Monday, which is just minutes, like they said, after it airs at 9 p.m. In North America.
Yeah.
So the comment section is full of people saying, "It aired at 7:35. What is this? I can't see it."
But they were right. It was
spoiled.
minutes after.
Right, no, exactly. And then some guy's like, "I saw it at 7:30. What are you saying, bugger?" Like,
Wow.
It's like people actually, I mean,
That's what they sound like?
in my head, it's more amusing that way.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so they have, so like I said, Game of Thrones is the big one that they have.
They have a big HBO kind of list, listings. Like they have pretty much all the HBO shows, which I found so impressive, man. Because we don't need HBO Go, is there? Or HBO Now, I think is the name of
HBO
the
Now, yep.
in the States is what they have. So I guess Hotstar is just syndicating paying a lot of money, I suppose.
So it's 200 rupees for their premium subscription, although you can watch stuff for free. Not everything is available for free. It's actually a very limited supply of free stuff.
So there is stuff for free as well.
There is stuff for free. Not much. Like, really, it's kind of useless.
AIB?
So, AIB was free.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Interesting.
at least at the time. I haven't looked at it now. I can't imagine being paid now. But when I watched AIB when it was out months ago, it was free. But yeah, if you want to get Game of Thrones, you pay 200 rupees and you'll get it immediately then and there, minutes after it is out west, which is great. So that is, without question, the biggest thing that they're pushing.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with that. Even when I was just going through the app, it just seemed really, really impressive that they had such a huge slate of shows. It's almost the direct competitor to Netflix, man.
In a lot of ways, like you said, especially with the HBO stuff, that is the biggest thing that they have from Western television.
It has some of the best shows. HBO does some of the best shows because they have John Oliver, the entire episodes,
which
rather than
again is available on this thing. However, when I saw that, I figured, I don't know if I would watch. I don't know if I'd pay to see John Oliver because he puts up his main segments on YouTube for free
but you
every
don't
week,
watch the entire show.
You don't watch the entire show, So I guess it depends on how much you really enjoy.
And I used
John
to download,
Oliver.
until very recently, until I just couldn't keep up with it, is that I used to just download the entire episode. It's like how we have to download The Daily Show, at least when Jon Stewart was doing it, because who watches it now?
Yeah.
But like, I had to download it because you don't get, like, especially Comedy Central, they only do like 60 seconds of snippets of shows on YouTube, so there was no way of really watching it. And similarly, John Oliver, even though he does the entire segment, the main ones, which is really what everyone watches, I still like John Oliver enough to watch the entire show. And I guess this is a great way of doing it.
But so I will say that, so I didn't buy a paid subscription, but I did rewatch something again for free just to sort of see if anything had changed. Not much had changed since I saw it.
The interface is pretty impressive, though. It's nice.
It works just fine. I actually had a very pleasant user experience.
Okay, cool.
I'll put it to you that way.
My problem with Voot is that they don't have an option for HD to turn it off and on. They don't have oh,
really?
So it's
all autoplay.
So it's basically what Netflix is doing is that you don't. I think there's a setting.
Netflix,
in settings
Netflix
you can go
on a device. Netflix on a tablet or a phone will auto
choose based on what your bandwidth is looking like. Similarly, on YouTube, if you just check auto on, if you check that box, it changes automatically. And Facebook has literally just one button which says HD or not HD. We don't know whether it's 480p, 640, 720, etc. Voot doesn't have that thing. It's based on what your connection is. It kind of flips between. But it doesn't look super HD though, and that's the difference between that and on Netflix when you subscribe itself. So the subscription for Netflix, let's just go through that.
$600.
It's 3 options, So there's non-HD, which is just SD stuff, which is, I guess, is around $400. Then there's 500, and there's 650 or 699 if I'm not mistaken. $500 is what we're all going with right now because it's HD, and because India's internet is not can sometimes be.
Can't handle that Ultra HD.
Can't handle Ultra HD is what.
Which I still don't exactly know what that is.
It's probably like Blu-ray quality, man.
I
That's
guess
it.
So.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So that's the difference there, and it's $500, $600. So I think Hotstar is quite impressive. The fact that they're only paying $200 for such a great collection of shows. That seems almost like a no-brainer.
I am curious though. So it'll be July when Game of Thrones ends. Yeah. Once that's done, what's going to be the next big thing to sell? Because, like I said, they're not pushing their original stuff too much at the moment. They're completely dwarfed.
Well, they did it when
Game
their main show came out.
Right, absolutely.
What is their other original stuff? I don't know if there was
nothing impressive that I see. Nothing that I remember at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was very pretty random.
I did see something about I don't know where this was on, but I think they did something similar to Talking Dead. So Chris Hardwick does the Talking Dead, where they just basically right after the show airs after AMC, on AMC they just review it and stuff like that. So I think they did something similar like that for I can't remember what movie. I think it was not. I'm just thinking Go Go Gone. But it was. But by the way, that's also on Voot. I think it was something where they were basically discussing a movie in 4 parts, so it was.
That's cool.
I was like, cool. Nobody does that in India.
that respect. I mean, it's nothing new, but the whole sort of sports center kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
sports is a big thing on
sports
Hotstar.
is the big thing on Hotstar at the moment.
Yeah. So there you go.
That might just be it between something like a big spectacle, like a Game of Thrones type TV show, whatever the next show might be.
Yeah.
Between that and sports, I guess for the moment that's what they're pushing until.
And it's so funny.
Maybe AI becomes work with another thing until East India Comedy makes something.
This is a very Western thing, and I think it's just because they have such a good quality lineup of shows over there. Is that the style of reviewing shows? Having a show to review a show is not a thing that happens in India, right?
No.
There's no the only thing that is us, I guess. Where they're very few and far between, to kind of like things to talk about over here because they have no real original shows. But I guess now with the advent, I'd say, of original shows for the web, like Chinese Bhassad. I mean, like, if ever Chinese Bhassad becomes Game of Thrones level where they start killing off family members and things like that, I mean, maybe it's worth reviewing. I mean, we have not reached... I mean, that's a real... a thing, right, to tell whether a show is doing well or not. Is that is there another show reviewing it, and specifically that's their job. So that's
or at least it tells you that your marketing team is doing a good job.
Yeah.
At getting the show viewed.
Yeah.
If not a good show, it's at least being seen.
Cool. So round
Anywho.
up between Voot, Netflix, and we haven't really talked about Netflix.
We talked about Netflix in an earlier episode when it just started.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's still in the same spot that it's been in for the last couple of months.
Yeah, they're still doing it.
There's not much content. It's affordable, which is good. The stuff that is out,
it's the most expensive though out of all of these.
It is most expensive by what, 3 times more expensive than Hotstar?
2/3, yeah.
Yeah. So
$200 versus $500.
So I am on Netflix and I'm pretty happy with it. Yes, it's annoying that it's limited. However, they do have a lot of new stuff that is very recently come out. They do put it out.
I mean, the best stuff on Netflix right now is their original stuff. Shows. I mean, Daredevil, Jessica Jones,
exactly.
House of Cards, and also the documentary stuff which I've been watching is really, really great. Like
I've been watching a lot of stand-up stuff on there.
Yeah,
that's been great.
My favorite has been John Mulaney. Yeah, he's a SNL head writer.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. Really, really funny. But the other stuff that I've been watching on Netflix is that the documentary stuff is really, really good. And there's a show called Chef's Table, which is coming out with its second season.
A lot of people tell me about this.
Excellent show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like watching like a Nolan film, but like it's really deep and it's really, really good. And so Netflix still, obviously their original stuff is amazing. Their syndicated content is still not as impressive as it should be, like in the West. Having said that, Hotstar is doing such amazing stuff with their syndicated stuff.
Just to round it up, between the three, just what's your order of preference?
I think
if money was not an issue, and I don't think 500 rupees versus 200 rupees versus no rupees.
I mean, the moment Netflix announced themselves, I signed up for it.
Right, exactly. So
but now
putting the money aside, between the three, what's your order?
I'll put it this way. I think the West, and this is not just a fixation that we Indians have, on the West, but it's just that, like the same thing that I've been saying about YouTube's Player, is that the West has had a lot of time doing this as a business model and seeing what works and what doesn't work and working on the tech aspect of it also, which is why I still subscribe to Netflix in more than one way. It's just that they know how to arrange their media and present it to the viewer in such a way that it's most optimum, and that's why navigating to Netflix is so simple. It's so easy because it's literally right there, and recommended works really, really well. I have watched so much based on their recommendation model that I think that that's why I would still go with Netflix. I am still waiting for their content to like increase, like in terms of just the number of shows. But still, having said that, there's so much to go through. I'm watching this animated show on Netflix right now called Total Drama or something like that. It's an animated show which is a spoof on reality shows like Survivor. So it's really strange. It's just like a different kind of show that you wouldn't see coming out here. I mean, just generally because we're not seeing things come out of India just yet. It's now starting things like TVF, doing their, things called, what is it called? Permanent roommates. Then there was another show called Baked. So there's a lot of independent stuff coming out right now that needs to find itself on these on-demand models and needs to increase. We just need more and more media. I think we've found ourselves in a good space in the independent music space because, there's so many bands creating so much music that finally now we can choose between stuff. Otherwise, it's like right now we have a lack of options, so that's why we watch whatever's just there.
So between Hotstar and Voot?
I'm still obviously going to go with Hotstar because, but Voot, I know that MTV, because I've worked with them in the past, they have always put out new stuff. They write their own original stuff. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this show called Fana. Okay, Fana is a vampire like series. Like it's a vampire love story. It's kind of like Twilight, but in India and like long drawn out, which is like Twilight. So I mean, I think that they're always going to go for new stuff, and they're always going to keep creating stuff. I don't know if the quality is going to reach the level that, because they're still aiming at a very, very young audience. So why I'll go to Voot is for maybe the independent music stuff, or maybe go for if they have a one-off series which is slightly more edgier, we'll have to wait for it to see. So until then, obviously I'm going to go with Hotstar for the simple reason that they chose AIB to work with, and they did edgier content, which is what everybody's looking for. So I don't know, so definitely Hotstar over Voot, and Netflix over Hotstar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree. So with that, let's talk about other things unrelated to anything.
Cool. In Random News Generator.
Random News Generator.
Hello. Welcome back. Quick announcement, I suppose, is that the role of Tejas Menon will now be played by Dinkar.
Hey guys, what's happening?
Because I suppose he had more important things to do. I don't know. He just kind of left.
He kind of just poofed. Like
why did he leave? I mean, you tagged in for him. He must have told you why he left. Why did he leave?
I actually don't know. He tagged me in and then he disapparated. So there was like a pop and he was gone. So
isn't that technically just apparated?
I don't...
Is there a difference between apparating and disapparating?
I think when you enter a place, you're apparating in, and when you leave, you're disapparating. So for every apparition, there is a disapparition.
An equal and opposite disapparition. Cool. Well, yeah.
Yes, it's very zen. The balance of the universe is maintained.
So for no reason in particular, we have Dinkar now. So welcome, hello, greetings, and you have some news for me.
I
believe.
I want to talk about... Have you heard of this guy, James Bond?
No, do tell.
Well, he is a spy who, believe it or not, has a license to kill. So
is that a fact?
Yes. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but Tom Hiddleston is in advanced talks to play James Bond. I don't know what that means. Does that advanced talks is talks that have progressed beyond just like, hey, do you want to play James Bond? Right? Or are they initial talks?
No, you have to. I think advanced talks means you have to have like got a passing grade in the introductory level of talks,
right?
And then your professor must recommend you to the 200 level course of advanced.
So he's fairly close to playing it.
Well, I also heard that Jamie Bell from...
Jamie Bell
from Billy Elliot fame, of all things.
For James Bond?
Yeah, right?
Really?
I know. Like, I haven't seen or heard of Jamie Bell in a long time, I don't know what he's up to.
In fact, what has he done after Billy Elliot?
I know I've seen him. I know I've seen him lately in some random movie, which I've forgotten about, so it couldn't have been that amazing. But, yeah, I have nothing against the guy, but I just feel like...
he doesn't seem like... I mean, I don't know. Maybe we haven't seen him in so long, so we've forgotten what he's like.
He would need to be really amazing for me to forget while watching a James Bond movie that Jamie Bell is not... That Jamie Bell is Bond and not, in fact, Billy Elliot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
true.
Because that was a pretty...
Because it was a pretty defining... He was super, big how role. Old was he? In his teens?
When he played Billy Elliot?
Yeah,
he would have been...
Like 14, 15, I think.
Yeah, high school age. I mean, at least the character is meant to be high school age, so he was somewhere in that area. But yeah, so Tom Hiddleston I'm excited by. Is anything about Idris Elba?
So,
like there was a lot of
Sam Mendes spoke about it a couple of days back, where he said he's done with the Bond movies. He's like, I'm not coming back.
Oh wow.
I think he's still on as producer, but he's not directing anymore for sure. And he said that it could be Idris Elba, but he said that the producers are the ones who take the call. He said it's not a democracy. A lot of people are saying Idris Elba, but what the producer decide goes.
The Broccolis.
Yes.
Broccolis.
How do you say that?
Broccolis.
The
double L is
it's spelled exactly as
it's
the
broccoli.
vegetable. It is Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah.
Well,
but also speaking of
how cool of a name is James Bond, and how uncool of a name is Barbara Broccoli.
About as uncool as Albert Broccoli.
That is true.
Yeah. I've also heard that Gillian Anderson, famous Scully, is also. I think she put her own name in the hat
as a female Bond.
Yeah. Jane Bond. I'm guessing.
Jane Bond.
Jane Bond.
Yeah.
Jane Bond. That would be cool.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, like how...
There's talks of having Idris Elba play him, and there's already backlash. So no, you saw the backlash to the female Ghostbusters, yes?
Yeah.
Which is pretty ridiculous because the movie looks fine. It doesn't look like I didn't laugh out loud at the trailer, but it looked okay.
Right. And likewise, I'm a little. How do I put it? I want to like this movie a lot. I loved the Ghostbusters originals, so I was very excited to see it was coming back. But yeah, after seeing that trailer, I'm a little bit hesitant about it, but still, I have faith. I mean, it's like the cast is amazing.
Cast is incredible.
I'm hoping that the trailer was just the weakest points and they've saved the best stuff for the actual film. Yeah. That being said, Dan Aykroyd, just yesterday or the day before, was quoted to say that he actually really, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah?
He's seen an early screening of it and he sort of gave it his stamp of approval, which means a lot because that guy was heavily... He's probably the most invested in the franchise than anybody else. So to hear that he really enjoyed it and was willing to say that on the record, I mean, that's going to mean something.
He's also the one who most wanted to revive it, as with the original Ghostbusters, right? So, and now that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
So here's what I got.
The torch.
Here's what I got for you.
Yeah.
A name that will be coming up quite a bit in future episodes, actually pretty soon, I would imagine, is Dominic Cooper. Mm-hmm. Because of one certain preacher that he is just... I think the first episode is just out.
The
pilot is out. Yeah. So I have yet to see that, but I'm sure we'll be reviewing that very, very soon. We're very excited for that one. So he was at the MCM Comic-Con in London just a few days ago, and obviously there was a whole lot of buzz about the fact that we just recorded an episode about the cancellation of Agent Carter. So you can keep an ear out for that one, folks. But yeah, he was asked a lot about that, and he said, obviously, we care deeply about that show. We loved being a part of it. And there's already been a whole lot of fan support to sort of get it back on maybe solely a streaming platform, i.e. Netflix, to say, okay, fine, if ABC's not going to put it on TV because it's too expensive or whatever, fine, just put it on a streaming platform because that's a lot cheaper in some way or the other. So he said that he would very much love to come back as Howard Stark and continue that story, and he really cares about that. So yay, go Dominic Cooper for being awesome. He's in Preacher. So far, it's gotten some pretty great reviews. I'm very excited to see it. Yay for that. However, what really left me with a sour taste in my mouth was, again, just this past weekend, I saw him on the Graham Norton show, and he was there plugging the Warcraft movie.
Right, yeah.
Now, this particular movie is based on Warcraft 1. I've only played Warcraft 2 and 3 and Frozen Throne and a little bit of WoW, very briefly. So I don't exactly know the origin story of not the world of Warcraft, but the world of Warcraft. You know what I mean? So
the Warcraftiverse.
The Warcraftverse. Yeah. So he was on it plugging that, and it was so disappointing for me to see how he pitched it. Because, normally when an actor or a filmmaker comes on a talk show to talk about the film, they obviously have an intimate knowledge about, the story and the characters and why you should care about them and why these stories are compelling. He, to his credit, was totally honest, but it was very disappointing to hear him say that he had never played the game. Not even after being cast in it was he interested in playing the game. He didn't really know that he couldn't describe what kind of a game it was. It's called a strategy game. It's not that hard a thing to...
He couldn't come up with the word strategy?
He couldn't come up with the word strategy game.
That's bad.
And it's fair enough, fine. If you're not a gamer, cool. But this feels like the kind of thing where if you're making a movie based on a video game, yes, you want to have box office, names and names on the poster that can put butts in seats. But I feel like it should be made by gamers. It should be made by somebody that actually cares about this stuff.
That's true.
He just had a really hard time selling. It was a very awkward segment of that show when he was out there to pitch it, because he said he read the script and he loved it. Of course, everybody that has to promote a script is going to say, yes, I read the script and I loved it. So that was pretty regular blanket kind of stuff. But then when it came to talking about the characters involved and the whole mythos of the thing, orcs versus humans, and probably there might be some teasing about, the night elves coming about in the next movies if they have them. He really fumbled with that. He's like, it's about this fantasy world and these rich characters that do amazing things. just normal, mundane. This could be any movie when you're talking about it.
Has he been like that about Preacher though? Have you seen any of that press?
I've not seen that press yet.
Neither have I. So I
yeah,
wonder if that's
he might
just
as
his
well be. He
attitude
might as well
towards-
be a very
maybe
bad.
he just doesn't care about Warcraft. But
Yeah.
Preacher's his passion project. Like, well, he should have played the game. Maybe I kind of get people like say not watching earlier versions of a movie because then that's their method where
Sure.
they don't want their
Yeah.
But and I get maybe some actors not reading the comic books that movies are based on because well, it's a whole new world or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, play a game, dude.
Yeah.
It's fun. What's the worst that could happen? Like, you should know a little bit about what you're getting into.
Right. Exactly.
But there has been. Have you ever seen one of those interviews Ian McShane does about Game of Thrones?
No.
He is so IDJF about it, where he's like, yeah, there's like costumes and stuff, but a bunch of my friends were doing it, so it looked like fun.
Which is fair enough.
Which is, I
because,
suppose so.
like,
Well, Ian McShane has probably earned it, actually, at this
true.
point. But,
Plus, that's also like, speaking of Harrison Ford, that's also like how his
that's true.
his MO is.
He
I don't know,
invented this.
I'm grumpy.
Yeah.
I'm here. They're paying me like more money than you can
They
imagine.
should
So I
have
guess
killed
I'll
me
do this.
off.
Yeah. So that's fine. Like you said, yeah. Ian McShane's earned that. Harrison Ford has earned that. Dominic Cooper.
Carrie Fisher does it as well now.
She's so snarky.
She is so
but, I mean,
snarky.
she's so lovably
Her dog
snarky.
is snarky.
Yeah. So Dominic Cooper, I mean, I've loved him in the MCU. He was hilarious in Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Because I randomly watched that movie like a few months ago,
It's
and
a good movie.
and I completely forgot that he was in it. I was like, holy crap, Howard Stark
That
has the
movie's
pipes.
like stacked. Right.
But yes, I don't think
that entire star
I don't think
cast
he's
in Mamma
earned-
Mia is incredible.
I don't think he's earned the right to like
Probably.
sort of be like, I don't care, I'm just gonna be a badass and like do stuff. Like, you're not. Yeah, you're a badass, but you're not that caliber quite yet. So
he doesn't
you know.
seem like the kind of guy who'd be that guy either. Like, he wouldn't be
Yeah.
like a badass guy. So this is
Yeah.
weird. Like, this
It
just
is-
seems
it
like
is
he
weird.
didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, like his public demeanor. I'm just basing this solely off this one 45-minute interview that I've seen on that Graham Norton show. Great, seemed like a nice, lovable kind of guy. And then when it just came to selling what he came to sell on this show, it just felt so flat. I was like, wow, you know nothing about this movie other than the lines that you had to say and the characters. I was like, yeah, but it's such a rich universe that, if somebody who was in the know was in this show, was at that show to like sell the movie, you could talk about the universe for like hours on end. Like, anybody could talk about the DC or MCU for like all of eternity about how rich it is and all the different stories there are. This guy like just didn't know anything. So
Okay,
it was just a little
alternate Graham Norton universe story. What if he'd come on, said, I didn't know anything about the games, I have never played it, I didn't know anything about the characters.
which he did say.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he says that, but then he says, but everything I've done in the script
Yeah.
is like a whole world by itself, and I feel invested in that. Well, not in those words, but
Yeah.
if he spoke about the script and the world of the movie as something he's invested in, would that
Yeah.
convince you?
Possibly
Because I feel
more
like
so,
I'd be okay
because-
with that. Like,
because,
I'd
yeah,
be
it's
okay
honest.
with, okay, maybe you don't know what happened before,
Right.
but you care about what you did in the movie,
Right.
and you care about that world.
Yeah.
And maybe
no,
you
that's
don't
totally
realize
fair.
how it ties into
I still respect the fact that he was upfront about where he stands with the whole thing. He's like, yeah, this is not my thing, but I did it anyway because I like the script. Again, like I said, we've heard the line, it was a great script, with selling every single movie and TV show ever written. Nobody's going to deny that nobody's going to say it was a cheap script, but I did it anyway. So I think, yeah, if he said something to the effect of, I'm not going to comment on the game itself because I don't know anything about that, but I can tell you that my role in this movie was something that I cared about. Fair enough, that's good. But he addressed the game and was like, yeah, it's a game about like creatures and humans and they fight and stuff. And yeah, I was like, well,
Is it
then don't even try.
a little Zack Snydery that way? Because whenever that guy talks, and he is like a comic book nerd and stuff, but there's
Yeah.
just something about his attitude when he talks about comic books where it seems like, yeah, this is what the nerds like.
Yeah,
He's such a bro kind of guy.
yeah, he does. He looks like a bro.
Yeah.
But that's about all I know
Exactly.
about Mr. Snyder. Anywho, thank you so much for joining me, Tejas 2.1. I guess.
Yeah, we're working out some of the bugs, but
Yeah.
it's doing okay.
Maybe in the next update you'll sound more like him.
Yeah, I'll try and nail the laugh. Yes. I think we might have to revise one version backwards. We're at Tejas 2.1b. We're in beta.
Oh my god. Okay, beta. Cool. See what I did there?
I see
See
what
that?
you did there.
Yeah. I write for a living.
I see.
Beta. Anywho,
Alrighty.
like we say, if you want to join another conversation, we always love hearing from you guys. So please send us your thoughts, queries, comments, insults, questions, concerns to contact geekfruit@gmail.com. All the social media things are at geekfruithq. And geekfruit.in is the website where
please do check out
lives.
our website. We have some amazing writers putting out some great stuff there. And in fact, send us stuff if you have something you want to talk about and you care about it deeply and you are a writer such as Jishnu.
Thank you,
send
Beta.
us your stuff, Beta.
Thank you, Beta.
All right, Beta.
Okay, bye, Beta.
Bye.
You nerds.
The Geek Fruit podcast is an IVM production, and if you enjoy listening to us, I suspect you will like listening to the Fan Garage, or TFG as we like to call them around here. It's a podcast about sports and it comes out every day. They talk about football, cricket and fantasy leagues, which is what it's called when you're not good enough to play the sport yourself. But hey, you can listen to a podcast about it.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.